Hi guys, I'm back again with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP, whose girlfriend cheated on him, but convinced OP's mother OP was the one cheating. Well, guess who OP's mom believed, and who was cut out of the will? Listen to the story to find out, and of course to hear my insights. Buckle up, as it's a long one, and with an update. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I was raised by a single mom. My dad died 2 years after I was born. I focused on my career for the most part of my life, and my mom supported me doing that. But when I was 20, I met my ex-girlfriend and we got together. We were colleagues first, but she told me she'd work in a different sector soon. In her new workplace, she met a guy who she fell in love with while being in a relationship with me. I only found out because she admitted to have S with him to me after she went out for girls' night with her friends. I immediately broke up with her and threw her out. A few hours of me trying to process what happened, my mom called me and shouted at me that she hasn't raised me like this. I was confused and asked what she meant, and she said that my ex-girlfriend accused me of cheating on her and that she found proof of that on my phone. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I tried to talk to my mother, telling her that the exact opposite is true and that she has cheated on me, but she didn't believe me. Part of the reason is probably because she and my mom truly loved each other. I never had a problem with that. Till then, I liked how they got along with each other. My mother called me a liar and said she disinherited me from her will, as she's not having a cheater as a son. She said she never wants to see me again. Then later, my grandparents called me to tell me how disappointed they are of me and that I deserve every bad thing that is to come. You know what the worst thing was? I found out that my cheating ex-girlfriend continued to meet with my mom after everything she did. All of this was so painful for me. The only person that sided with me was my best friend, who was furious with her. I talked to him, and he hugged me, and I cried in his arms. I know many people would think that's unusual for two guys, but his support really helped me getting through this. 1 year later, when I already was over it, my doorbell rang, and when I opened, I saw my mom with teary eyes, and I began to feel how my emotions are coming up, and I slammed the door and started crying, asking her what the duck she wants here. She said she wanted to talk to me and that she was so sorry. After she begged for 15 minutes straight, I gave in and opened the door. She said my ex admitted that she cheated when she was drunk. She apologized profusely and said that she knows that she failed as a mother, not believing her own child. I told her that I accept her apology, but I don't want to see her now, and that I probably can never forgive her, even though she begged me to forgive her. Over the last few months, she started calling me daily, just to hear my voice, as she said. She said she missed me, then apologized again, and asked if I could just come over. Her voice always sounded kind of painful, and she always says how much she loves me, and that even she could understand that I hate her, and she cannot live with this thought on her head. I don't even hate her. I still love her. She is still my mom, but the trust is broken. I can never trust her again because what if I got into a relationship again? Who says that she wouldn't just believe their word over mine again? I appreciate her efforts, but I just cannot forgive her or even see her now, and I hope she understands that I need time. Well, I think OP's mother doesn't deserve forgiveness and OP's trust. I would ask her for an explanation. Why didn't she trust her own son? What is the evidence of OP's cheating? OP has every right to still be angry with her. OP accepted the apology, but OP is not likely to forget, and true forgiveness takes time. It's almost like she just instantaneously expected OP to bounce right back to how things were before this occurred. It's an unrealistic expectation on her part. Clearly, she feels at least somewhat remorseful, but her behavior in this is something else. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Plucking Out Heart says, make her tell your grandparents the truth. The fact that she ruined your reputation in your family is disgusting. I know what having a mother like that is like, and believe me, no contact is better than the potential risk of stress and chaos that they can bring to your life again, and they always will. ElfTars426 says, I would either be no contact or very low contact and have her tell the truth to everyone. Make her get heartfelt apologies from the ex, grandparents, and any former friends. You tell her how she can gain your trust back, if ever. Also, tell her what your boundaries are if you keep her in your life. Puppet007 says, your mother is the worst. She even told your grandparents your ex's side of the story and continued to keep seeing her. It took her a year and a drunk confession from your ex for her to see you again. Has she even told your grandparents about it yet? Or is she still too prideful, not wanting to make herself look any worse than before? Update. Many of you pointed out good points I should ask her. Even though she called several times, we rarely really talked. So when she came over, I sat her down in the living room. There, I asked about my grandparents, her will, and if she is still in contact with my ex. She explained that she had told my grandparents and she expected them to call me, but it seems like they were too stubborn. She also said I'm in her will again. She then started talking crap about my ex. She said that when she found out, she threw her out of the house. She then started apologizing profusely and telling me that she knows how hard she messed up and that I probably can never trust her, but she wants to do everything in her power to make this right. She explained that the man before my father had cheated on her, so infidelity was a sensitive topic for her. And then she said that she regrets not believing me or even remotely hearing my side of the story. I sat quiet while she explained all this. I then asked her how I know that I could trust her now. What would happen if I got into a similar situation, and if she would just throw me away again? She said I have her word, and I replied that her word is basically meaningless, as I don't trust her in the first place. She didn't reply to that answer properly, and again begged me to forgive. I told her that I cannot forgive her for now, and maybe I will never be able to forgive her, but I also see her efforts, and if she wants me in her life again, then she has to show me that I can count on her. She started tearing up. I could tell she tried to hold her tears the entire time, but then she broke down crying, and with a whimpering voice, she asked if she at least could give me a hug. I accepted that, and she said she's going to make this right no matter what it takes, and then she left. Now, while I am kind of touched in how she shows how much she regrets doing what she did, I'm really concerned about my own reaction. When she broke down and I saw my own mother there on the floor crying, I didn't feel anything. I wasn't sad, I wasn't angry, I wasn't happy, and I certainly didn't show any sort of empathy for her. I just couldn't. During the year of having no contact with her, I refused to go to therapy. Maybe it's not too late to do that now. My girlfriend came over to my apartment today to study and do some homework, as she still is in university. When she arrived and started to unpack, she noticed her laptop wasn't in her bag, and being the good boyfriend I am, I told her not to worry and that I will drive over to her house and grab it. I really wish I hadn't. My girlfriend still lives at home, and I'm really close to her parents. Both of us are. In fact, I see them as my own. Reason being, my parents are toxic, and it's best to go no contact with them for my own sanity. Her father, on the other hand, is a positive male role model in my life. Great job, positive attitude, and always gives good advice in my opinion. He's a great guy, not much else to say. I think highly of her mother as well, caring, loving, and always supportive of my relationship with her daughter. They both love me, and it's the reason why today shocked me to the core. I have a key to their house, and as I entered, living room is first room upon entry, I see my future mother-in-law and some stranger having S. As soon as they saw me, my mother-in-law started panicking and ran into the back of the house away from me. I heard my mother-in-law cursing over and over. As soon as I realized what was happening, I just backed out of the living room and stood on the front porch. I honestly didn't know what to do. It didn't feel like my place to confront them, as it's not my fight. So, after about 5 minutes, I re-entered to see the stranger walk past me out of the door, followed shortly by my mother-in-law. As he left, she looked to me and started crying. She broke down and tried explaining the situation, how their marriage had been suffering, and how she loves father-in-law, but feels so unsatisfied. She begged me not to say anything, that it was a mistake and it would nuke the family. She was hysterical. I just sort of looked at her. What was I supposed to say? The begging wouldn't stop. She even grabbed onto my shirt. She wanted me to not say anything and let it be swept under the rug. I told her flat out that I'm not lying to save herself. She then begged me to be the one to tell father-in-law, to at least give her that. So, in the interest of getting the duck out of there, I just said, sure, and went to retrieve what I was there for. I then went immediately home. I haven't told my girlfriend yet, as she's still working on assignments, but I plan on telling her afterwards. I'm sad. It's devastating knowing that the comfortable family I found and felt finally a part of is about to be nuked into the sun. I can't imagine how my father-in-law is going to take this. He's a good guy and definitely doesn't deserve getting his heart broken like this. I'm also sad for what my girlfriend is about to hear and what will come of it. It's such a huge, crappy situation that I wish I never had any part of it. My poor girlfriend and father-in-law. OP needs to tell his girlfriend what he saw ASAP, in case OP's mother-in-law throws some accusation on OP. It's not OP's responsibility to shield her mother from shrapnel. Covering for mother-in-law, OP can get in trouble himself. And now let's hear the community's opinion. AAPBH says, tell your girlfriend and tell your father-in-law exactly what you saw and what she said. I feel so bad for your girlfriend and her dad, and obviously you, since you were out in such a horrible position. By the way, that wasn't a mistake. That was a choice she made to sleep with someone else in the home her husband and daughter live in. There's absolutely no excuse. Mountain Monitor says, she is not going to tell him. She is making up stories about you cheating and how bad you are for their daughter. Then, when you tell your side of what you saw, they won't believe you. Update. So I told my girlfriend everything I saw when she finished her homework. She was devastated and crying like I've never seen before. We talked for a good few hours, where she disclosed to me that her mom had cheated on her father once before when she was just a child. The affair partner was a boss from her work and had gone on for a few years by that point. She only knew about it later down the line because a family member told her. After I settled her down, I could tell her sadness turned to anger. Around 2 in the morning, she insisted we go confront her mom and tell her father everything. I tried talking her out of it, and to do this on another day and at a better time, but she doubled down, saying her mother doesn't deserve peace. So we ended up at her parents' house early in the morning. They were just settling into bed. The look on my mother-in-law's face was obvious. She knew what was coming. It was ducked up. I've never seen my girlfriend scream and cuss someone out so hard. Every single possible insult was used. My girlfriend told her mother that she's going no contact for good. When things calmed down, her father was clearly baffled and had a lot of questions. I told him everything, what I saw, what I was doing, why I was there, and what mother-in-law said to me. I could tell I just sank this poor man's heart. His eyes filled up with tears, but he just remained silent. I guess she hadn't told him, which I knew was the plan all along. Typical ducking cheaters. After another 20 or 30 minutes of cussing, screaming, and crying, I was able to get my girlfriend and I to leave. I felt so bad for her and father-in-law. I felt responsible for destroying what I thought was, beautiful family. I mean, I don't regret at all spilling the beans, but I just wish I wasn't at the center of it all. I don't want to break the people who I love hearts. Feels like a nightmare, and reality was just turned upside down. When I got home, I got a text from father-in-law saying thanks for being honest and transparent with him. He said he loves me and that we will get through this. He's a great guy. I just can't believe that piece of crap woman did this to him. After a night of little to practically no sleep, I got out of bed this morning and made some breakfast for my girl. We talked, and I think she's handling it better now, but still not great. I invited father-in-law over if he wanted a place to stay, or just to lay low for a while. He surprisingly took me up on the offer and came over shortly after. Girlfriend father and I had a pretty lengthy conversation on how we felt and what the next steps are. He looked disoriented, but managed to handle himself well, given all that has happened. It's clear he's deeply in love with mother-in-law. He kept saying he wants to try and fix it. Girlfriend and I both think that's a bad idea. He told us that the person mother-in-law originally cheated on him with was the same guy she was having S with. It had been over a decade since she was first caught, and must have kept this man in the shadows. I can't believe he's willing to work through this knowing that. I couldn't at all. My girlfriend later asked where her mom was. Apparently, she left in the middle of the night after we left. No one knows where she's at. I wouldn't be that surprised if she was at her affair partner's house. Honestly, I'm sick to my stomach over it all. I feel like I destroyed a family. The people who I really care about are broken and hurt. It really sucks. I hate it all and wish people would just be decent human beings. My grandfather left his house to my aunt. The house had been in the family since it was built in 1939. My aunt had taken care of my grandparents late in life, and they had left the house to her because A, my uncle had taken his part of his inheritance when he was younger, and B, my father was in a more stable financial position at the time and was willing to cede his portion of the inheritance. One of my cousins briefly lived at the home with his wife, but they ultimately moved out. Years later, I was looking for a house with my ex and had inquired about the house. My aunt was willing to sell the house to me for $73,000, two-thirds of the fair market value at the time, because my aunt was more stable and felt obligated to my father to cover his one-third of the inheritance from the house, to help make the house more affordable for me at the time, as I was having a difficult time financially. Eventually, my ex and I split up, and I paid her back the portion of the down payment she'd contributed. I eventually got accepted to grad school, started dating another woman, graduated, ended up getting married, and started working. My wife and I have put a lot of work into the house and had intended on staying with numerous renovations. But after having spent over $15,000 on plans and a land survey, and getting nothing but quotes north of $400,000, my wife and I started looking, and the right home became available. I discussed the matter with my cousin, who recognized the awkwardness of the situation with my aunt. He suggested giving her the option of purchasing the house, which I thought was reasonable. The following morning, I got an angry message on Instagram from my cousin's wife, accusing me of stealing my cousin's inheritance, asking what I did to deserve getting the house for such a reduced price, and taking advantage of my aunt's guilt over receiving the entire inheritance to turn the house for a profit. She effectively said no one in the family trusts me anymore, and called my wife a gold digger. The short of it was that we weren't yet even sure how to broach the topic with my aunt, let alone the ethical ramifications of selling a family house that was sold at a discount. It hadn't even crossed my mind that the right thing to do might be to gauge my family's interest in reacquiring the house. I did eventually speak with my aunt regarding the house and offered to sell it back to her for the sale value of $73,000, well below the current market value, and responded that she had no interest. She also stated unprompted that she had sold the house to me at that price due to the arrangement with my father as a favor. I even went out of my way to call my cousins individually to offer them the house for the previous sale price of $73,000. Neither had any interest. Am I the a-hole for not initially considering the possibility of selling the house back to my family? Does offering the house to them after the fact make any amends? Should I give them the profit from the house after it is sold? ZLF Prince says, "Let me get this straight. You got a message from your cousin's wife, not your cousin? Could it be that your cousin's wife is projecting here? You offered the house to the people it needed to be offered to, and none of them took you up on it. It doesn't matter whether you thought of it before or after your cousin's wife overstepped by calling your wife the name she did, because the end result was the same. Not the a-hole, but wow, what a drama starter, jeez." Aggressive Week says, "Not the a-hole. Your cousin's wife has no business telling you what to do with the house or questioning your decision to sell, and you are not stealing anyone's inheritance since the house is legally yours. You shouldn't be expected to assume that anyone would have any interest in buying back the house unless this had been previously expressed to you, and they are certainly not entitled to any portion of the proceeds if you do end up selling." Calm River 9 says, "Not the a-hole, and there's no need to offer it to anyone in the family for less than current market value after the improvements and renovations you have made. Your aunt sold it to you at 2/3 price because she was making right taking her brother's share of the inheritance years prior. That implies she got 2/3 of market price at that time. Y'all are square. People are greedy and jealous. That doesn't make them right."